state of curiosity, as we know from, I mentioned on my TED talk, we can actually release dopamine as well. So there's actually, some sort of reward from this to make us really curious. So I was just super curious going, how can I do this? What do I need to know? Going from like literally, scratch bottom, what should I do? And then just suddenly just thinking about and being curious, I wonder what I might need to do, thinking about in the morning, thinking about in the night. And then these things just started popping up.
That was the voice of my guest, Ricky Locke, and he is a magician, a speaker, and a confidence coach. Look, he went from a really safe long-term career to accepting redundancy just before the years of COVID. So that was a bit of a knock. He was going to set up his own business, but that didn't really help, did it? However, he made it, and he made it through his wonderful power of curiosity. And his recent TEDx talk is called How Curiosity Unlocks Possibility, which is exactly what we're about to look at. Ready? Here we go. Right. Okay. Let's create. This is so corny. Let's create some podcast magic, Ricky, shall we? Welcome, Ricky. I've given you a bit of a build up there, so I need to say no more really about your credentials, but we just need to dig in really, really quickly because otherwise we're going to run out of time on this fascinating topic. So the title of your TEDx, How Curiosity Unlocks Possibility. Well, I think that is all we need to start with, and then we just need to unwrap it. And I mean, a huge subject like curiosity and a huge subject like possibility, I mean, we can do that in half an hour, can't we, Ricky?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we're pros, right?
Yeah. Well, let's just kick off because it is interesting for people who may be considering, oh, dare I take that step into getting up on a stage and doing a TEDx, for instance. I did one a few years ago. You've done one in the last few months. So you're really fresh out of this. Just give us a clue as to why you wanted to do it. Maybe was it a long-term thing that you thought of, or was it a sudden spontaneous decision? How you actually managed on a practical basis to actually get the gig, if you like, and how you felt doing it and after doing it. And can you do all that in 3 sentences?
Okay. All right. Well, I'll give it a try. So main reason why. So I've always wanted to do one. I was always inspired by like the likes of Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins, and even from my early career before I went and took the leap to be like self-employed. I was a national trainer for Argos and Sainsbury's, and I was teaching behavioral training and customer experience training and team building workshops. So I was always in that kind of inspiring role sort of thing. And I think probably to answer you why, it's probably daddy issues, if I'm honest, but we haven't got time to talk about trauma. It's probably, my daddy didn't love me and, I'm just trying to prove to him. We ain't got time for that.
Hang on. Let's just talk about that. I could talk about that too.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. How much time we got? But I think there's always been this thread. I did this workshop in 2018 when we were in Argos called Define Your Purpose. And you look at everywhere in your life at the moments of like what brought you joy. And it was always me being on a stage. And I remember distinctly as a kid laying on my bed, looking up at the ceiling, and I had this big black and white picture from a guitar magazine of what I can only remember, I think, would be someone looks like Kurt Cobain standing at Reading Festival, and there's this big sea of audience. So I knew from an early age I always wanted to be like on a stage in front of people. I did talent shows. I had like a band, and I thrived off energy, which why I became a performer, a trainer, a speaker, and a magician. So I think I'd always wanted to. So the real reason probably is because it's like, finally I have a voice, Dad, you can recognize me, But I think the real thing was that I always wanted to do one. It looked cool, and as like Tim Urban says in the big TED talks, I always wanted to be one of those guys who said I have done a TED talk, as he comments. But it was just a platform for me of like, this is a platform of credibility that you are instantly recognized by, someone that is of value. You're adding value to the world, and people who share these ideas, they are, everything. As Paul McGee says to me, ideas, words change worlds, but ideas change everything. And I love that idea that I always wanted to stand up and share something of value. So from an early age, I was always kind of led through it. And I remember in Argos saying to people, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I really want to do it. And I found my manual the other day, which was the Define Your Purpose exercise. And it said, I want to be a TED talker. I was like, oh, great. So, yeah, so that was like the big reason why. I don't think I really knew what I wanted to talk about because a couple of years ago I had an idea and it was just like some personal development stuff like, oh, yeah, I'd love to talk about this. And it was like, okay. Someone was like, yeah, all right. And, we talk about how life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. There was a reason why it didn't happen a couple of years ago, and it was purposely, it came at the right time, right? The universe worked its way. So that led to the idea, which we'll kind of explore in a little while. So that was my main reason why, Daddy. But no, big, I just wanted to always want to do it, big dream of mine. How I got it was an interesting thing. So as a Jack Canfield Success Principles trainer, I often share the success principles in my work, in keynotes, in workshops. And last year I lost my best friend and it was like a really, really tough time, Tricia. I was driving home one night from a wedding and I get a message from my best friend and it's his partner. And she says, Ricky, it's Caroline. I'm really, really sorry to say Joel passed away. I'm like, what? I just spoke to him like 3 days ago. And it was so hard because the next day, you're dealing with it, you're grieving. And I had to go to a wedding and perform and put on a mask, making other people happy when inside I was really hurting. So I lost a bit of a spark last year. And during that kind of depression and loneliness, I was scrolling through my phone. And as I was scrolling through my phone, I came across a podcast on Spotify called Define Your Purpose, the Jack Canfield Principles, reviewed by Ricky Locke. I was like, that's me. I was like, oh, that's my episode from 2021. And I re-listened to it. It just reminded me of the wonderful quote by Howard Furman, which is, don't ask what the world needs, ask what makes you come alive, because what the world needs is more people who've come alive. So I started looking into my journals and stuff, and I thought, God, yeah, I don't speak as much as I should. I don't do all these workshops that I really love doing. And I just wasn't doing the things that were lighting me up. So I pursued into doing my Jack Canfield work, did some online stuff, saw that he was doing an event in LA last year. And I said to my wife, please, can I go? Please, can I go? Please, can I go? And she said, yes, as long as you pay for the carpet. Like, yeah, that's fine. I don't mind. That's a good deal. um, and she bravely let me go. And I think there was a part of me that was like, this is to deal with Joel as well, to process that. But when we was out there, and to answer your question, we one night did a vision party, a vision board party. And one of the main reasons why successful people are so successful is because they see what they want. So they know what it is that they want. They have a strong vision for it. They have a strong affirmation. They have good goals. So I had this dream of being a TED talk and I thought, I'm just going to give this stuff a go. I found a picture of TEDx, printed it out, stick it on the vision board, found a photo of me speaking at an event from the year before, photoshopped myself and put that on there. And I just had the affirmations, and you're taught every morning and every night to say, I'm so happy and grateful, now delivering my first TEDx. And you say it as if it's like in the past tense, you've just done it. Did that in the morning, I did that in the night. And then suddenly the structural tension in my brain started to happen, that all these things started to appear. And on the last day of being in LA, I was on the same table with Nikki Kinsella, who was a speaker with me at TEDx Northwich this year. And she said, Ricky, I want to be a TEDx speaker too. I was like, really? Wow, that's amazing. She said, have you thought about TEDx Northwich? I think they're looking for things. I went, TEDx Northwich, wait, I think I know Jay Richings, he did that. And Trisha, she's done that as well. And it was so weird that when we were about to leave the hotel, there was something in my gut telling me just to stick around. And I stuck around in the lobby. And Robert Kelly, who's a cardiologist, doctor from Ireland, he was just about to go home. And he said, Ricky, we've not met over this weekend. It's been, I've heard a lot about you. Do you want to get an Uber and we'll share it back to the LAX? I was like, yeah, sure. We're in the car. And I said, so what have you been working on? He said, oh, I'm a cardiologist. And I've just done my very first TEDx. I went, no way. I want to do one. Tell me everything. So for the first half hour, he told me about that. And he said, I really love the experience and I'd love to continue developing my skills. And I went, no way. I'm a confidence coach and a presentation trainer. I train people to do presentation skills. So we got on really well. And he told me like what he learned from it and all that. And then just suddenly doing all of that work of just playing the movie in my mind, imagining myself being on there, having the vision board, looking at it every morning, every night. The idea started to pop up. I saw TEDx Northwich pop up. I applied for it, sent a video, scrapped the video, did the video again, scrapped the video, did it a couple of times, sent it across, got invited. We did the pitch in 2 minutes. And that was surreal to say, please now share your idea in 2 minutes in a Dragon's Den kind of style in front of all of us, and we're gonna, judge you. And I got accepted, and then that got onto the program. So it was a very, very fun journey. Yeah.
Yes. And that's really interesting because, like you described, I was there and then I met this person and then this happened. And then, as I was leaving, I met this person and and that goes straight to the heart of curiosity, because
Mm,
if you're not being led by curiosity, um, quite a lot in the first place, those random moments don't, I mean, they feel often like kind of sliding doors moments,
mm,
don't they? But
yeah.
but actually we kind of do create them because we're constantly on the lookout for, I want to find out about this, or, oh, maybe I'll go there, I've never been there before, oh, I think I can have a chat with that stranger over there, etc.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah, it was so crazy, like, because this stuff works, and to be in that state of curiosity, as we know from, I mentioned on my TED talk, we can actually release dopamine as well. So there's actually, some sort of reward from this to make us really curious to it. So I was just super curious, going, how can I do this? What do I need to know? Going from like literally, scratch bottom, what should I do? And then just suddenly just thinking about it and being curious, I wonder what I might need to do, thinking about it in the morning, thinking about it in the night, and then these things just started popping up. And my RAS started dialing up and going, oh, you should probably say that, or you should probably do that, or that person you should speak to. And yeah, it just kind of trickled from there.
Well, exactly. And I mean, for me, it was just like, because I'd been active on LinkedIn for quite a while, and because the other thing is that if you're being as much as possible you out there, then people kind of get you. And therefore, when somebody heard about it before I heard about it, in terms of TEDx Northwich
Mm,
looking, and sent me a message, so
yeah.
they were curious, and then because I was curious enough to have got linked with curious people.
Mm,
It's like a
yeah.
lovely little curiosity party here. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, obviously this is my thing. I mean, I've just, as you
Mm,
know, started a newsletter where I scrapped all idea of being terribly logical about what I was sharing, and thought, look, how does your brain work, Tricia? What makes you come alive, like
yeah.
you just
Yeah.
said? I know it's going down rabbit holes where you look at something and something else crops up, and then you think, oh my God, there's a book I haven't heard of, and then there's this thing, and then yeah, etc. So I called it Just Wondering, which is, I really enjoyed doing it. And that's the point. You've got, and the
Mm,
same with the TEDx, you can't get up there and do something all a bit dull, even
yeah.
although you could make it sound exciting, if it's dull to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
Because you have to live with it for quite a long time, don't you?
Yeah. It's out there forever, isn't it? I remember someone once said to me, great idea, Ricky. Just remember, it'll be out there forever. I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
And
And
also
that was kind of the decided thing.
yeah.
Not
And the
sure if this is
rehearsal
done.
period alone, if you're not really behind your ideas,
Yeah.
you can get pretty frustrated if you keep
Yeah.
out. Yeah, it's like any period of working on something you go through. I think it's in the TEDx
Mm.
book, actually. They call about, what do they call it? The valley of something. There's an actual,
Oh, yes. Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah.
yeah, and it's where you've got all the enthusiasm to begin with. Oh yes, I've figured it
Yeah.
out. This is my idea. Oh, got an outline going here. This is okay. And then you're rehearsing it and you're tweaking it and you're rehearsing it and you're tweaking it. And then you go through this kind of really, oh, God, I've got to rehearse this again. And then it all comes back up again, with life,
Yeah.
towards the actual performance. So yeah, God,
Yeah.
I could have
You,
been really flashy if I'd remembered that quote. But anyway, whatever.
you need to
Let's
post
dig in.
production. Post
Yeah.
production.
So this, I'm going to ask a couple of, because you mentioned John Canfield's success principles, which I'm going to confess I hadn't actually come across, which, bearing in mind the 3,000 books I've got on my shelves, I was surprised. But I did a bit of research,
Mm.
and I I spotted that this thing about goals.
Mm.
Okay, so if we link, right, so you got curiosity. Now, in my case, what I've just described, for instance, rabbit holes, quite random, oh, never thought I'd be looking this up, and here I am, and there's a documentary, and I hadn't heard of that before, etc., etc., or visiting a place and finding something out. But if you are sort of thinking of it in a more, what am I going to do with my life kind of way, I mean, I'm at a different phase of life, so I'm sort of, you know, wonderfully old and, you know, one of those really annoying boomer pensioner people. Uh, anyway, I have some luxury in not, and it's quite a release to me to not have to be constantly trying to formulate everything into a sort of very concise message and all the rest of it. And I was just wondering, is there a tension between goal setting and the unexpected and unknown quality of pursuing with curiosity?
Yeah. So interestingly, like what I didn't say was before I even flew to LA, I'd written down my goals from, you know, doing Jack's work. You know, I'm one of his success principles trainer. So we teach about goal setting. You've got like, you know, the cliche of the SMART goals, you know, that kind of thing. But the thing that what was really important was that last year, I think I've got it on my phone. I might be able to find it for you, and I'll hold it on the screen. It was I'm so happy and grateful walking off stage after delivering my first TEDx. That was like the affirmation. But the goal that I had was I will have delivered my first TEDx talk by the 31st of July, 2025. Now, I'd written that down. This was in October 2024. So I didn't even know about Northwich at that point. I didn't know about Nikki Kinsella. But I just set myself that challenge of like, you know what? I'm ready for this. I'm going to give myself just under a year to do this. And I put that goal on there. And from doing the work and linking to it and being curious with the affirmations. So goals are great, but what's really important is that if you want to like achieve your goals, then it's not important just to keep thinking about it. What you need to do is then to start sharing it with people. You need to then start asking for feedback. How can you help me get this? Most reason why most people can't achieve what it is they want to achieve is because most people don't know what it is that you want to do. So when was the last time that you told anybody about what it is you want to do? So I'm even considering putting out on my website a blog of 101 goals that I want to be, do, and have. And then I'm going to put it out to the world and say, these are my 101 goals. Maybe someone might know someone. And someone might go, oh, you want to go to Disneyland? Oh, yeah, I've got a free ticket, actually. You can come with me. Or you want to speak at this event? Come with me. I just thought with most people, you can start telling people about it. So I made a commitment just to start telling people about this goal. And then that curiosity that came from it was that when I started to do that work of in the morning, I'd wake up because there's some sort of research about being in the alpha state when you wake up. So when you wake up, your brain's like wired to help you. So believe it or not, that your brain is actually there to help you. It wants to help you. Sometimes it feels like probably doesn't on certain days, Mondays, for example. But when you say to yourself in the morning, you know, close your eyes, visualize what it is you want. I was visualizing myself walking out on stage, getting around applause and walking off. And then I would just say out loud my affirmation linked to my goal, which is I'm so happy and grateful walking off stage after delivering my first TEDx. When you do that in the morning, your brain's then firing up. When you do it at bedtime, just before you're about to go to bed, and looking at your vision board at the same time with that goal, your subconscious then overnight is then generating all those ideas. We know because of the work of like NLP, we can't process everything because our brain will just explode. So our brain filters things. But when you start to program it with these affirmations, your brain goes, oh, right, Ricky keeps talking about this bloody TEDx thing. We should probably just help him, shall we? So then that's when you're in the shower and you go, oh my God, I think I need to speak to Nikki Kinsella because I think she's doing one. And then all these ideas start to come out. So what it does, it generates structural tension. So it starts to then dial up your RAS. So that's when then you start noticing things more. Then it starts to dial up your creativity. And then the third thing is it dials up your motivation. So in link to that, you start becoming even more curious because you're like, oh, because your brain's then starting to help you because it's about focusing on what you want rather than what you don't want. So did that answer the question?
Yeah, well, I don't care if it did or not. It was fascinating. Right. Yes, in one respect, there was a lot in there that was connected to what I was saying. Now, in another respect, here's the I was going to say red herring, but I get my metaphors very muddled up. So ignore the red herring thing. But here's the spanner in the works. That's
Okay.
it.
Okay. Yeah.
I knew there was something. Let's put a red herring in the works and see what happens. Right. So take, and I realize that I'm at it could be just because I'm at this other end of life, if you like. But take, for instance, a simple example, and I promise you, listeners, I will not go on about this because I can. I took up, about 2.5 years ago, I took up climbing. Now, the point here is there was nothing in my life experience prior to that, or my brain, or my self-imposed labels, or anything else that you might want to put into that bucket, that said I was going to do climbing, love it, get better at it, and want to continue with it. Nothing said that. So in other words, if I had it, and it happened by accident. I mean, my husband is a climber, so it's not completely out of the blue, but I thought that was his thing. My thing was acting, which I'd done for decades, but I was sort of looking to kind of just shake things up a bit. But I never thought it would be that. And I just went one day to the climbing wall with him and thought, well, if I could learn to hold the rope, be on the other end and do that belaying thing, he could come more often because he'd retired, and, that could be a useful thing. And then I thought, oh, it would be quite fun, wouldn't it, to see if I could go up a few inches up this wall. Anyway, that was the start of it, and the rest is history. It's amazing, and it's quite life-changing in a way. But my point, I suppose, if this makes sense, my point is that I could never have set that as a goal, because it's the unknown part of the quadrant. I didn't know. So I suppose on the flip side of that is, can you be too rigid and not allow random doors to open if you set goals?
Totally, yeah. So this comes back to like your belief system, right? So you had a belief at that time, maybe, or maybe not. Maybe you didn't know, but at the time, what was you feeling or thinking or believing? Was it that I can never do this, or I'm just never explored this before? What was it you were thinking at the time?
I just thought, to me, I was the girl that came last at a sports day, and couldn't get up, couldn't jump across the horse in the gym. And my thing, if you like, my risk taking was on a stage, a lot of.
Yeah.
So I sort of thought, well, I do have a sense of adventure, and I do like a challenge. I do like that adrenaline burst of, and I do a lot of one-woman shows and plays, so that is even more scary. So I thought that I was through doing that, I was fulfilling, but because I would never be the person that did the risky sort of sport type stuff. So that was my belief.
Interesting. So what we have to think about is, this is a wonderful phrase that we use in the Confident Club, which is, what is it that I believe that's causing me to feel that way? So a lot of people won't take action on their goals because they have a belief system. I had a belief many, many years ago that I was never good enough to do something like a TED Talk, right? But what we have to question about is that belief serving you well? Is it true? So we know, because you can probably see behind me, if this is for audio listeners, you might not be able to, but behind me, there's a sign I'm pointing to. Can you see what that says, Trisha?
Belief. It says belief.
Yeah. And can you see what the word is in the middle of it?
It's lie.
Yeah. So all beliefs are just lies that you tell yourself that you've chosen to believe to be true. The question we have to think about is, when was the last time you actually checked that belief out? So for you, holding that rope, with the V-lane, doing all that, and you're probably thinking, oh, I'm not really a risky person, I can't do this. Is that true? Well, actually, you just said, no, it's not, because I do take risks. I take risks on the stage. But actually, what we need to question is, if we have those moments of those limiting beliefs of like, oh, do you know what? Oh, I can't be a TEDx speaker. I can't do that. Why? Is it true? The question is, and the problem is, sorry, that most people have these limiting beliefs that are just not serving them very well. You wasn't born, was you, with the belief of, oh, I can never climb, or I can never be a TEDx speaker? No, because we're only born with like two things, like two fears: the fear of falling over and the fear of loud noises, which means that everything is learned, which means everything can be unlearned. But the challenge you need to think about is, when I was going through my TEDx thing, I had no belief of I'm not good enough because it hasn't happened yet. How could I have a belief of something until I've done something? I have no evidence. It may well have been got to the point of a month before where it's like, Ricky, this isn't going to happen. I'm sorry. We just can't take you forward. Then I might have got a belief. But then you go, how interesting, right? Wonder what I can do about that. What would I need to say, do, think, or maybe change, maybe a different strategy? But the problem with that goal thing, like you said there, is to think about the belief. The belief that I had was I've got something of value to share. So this is my goal. It takes no effort to dream a big dream. It does a small dream. So dream it. Just go for it. You'll find out along the way. Curiosity will serve you well, and you'll find out whether it's true or not. But just most people just won't put the effort in to go see if that's true. We have people that rock up on our workshop, and they're petrified. As you all know, as a confidence coach, people are petrified. Public speaking, they can't do it. Oh my god! And you question the challenge is why. Well, when I was 15, Ricky, I stood up at class. Oh right, okay. And what did the teacher say? Oh, it said you're terrible. Right. How old are you now? I'm 55. Okay. So you've held on to that belief for 30 years? Yeah. Is it serving you well? No. So what do you want to do about it? And the question you start thinking about is that if you haven't got that belief, maybe you could borrow the belief. I love that phrase of like, well, I believe in you. So why don't you borrow my belief into you and now go
Oh,
run with it? So I think that there's this thing in answering to your question. Yeah, sometimes it's the belief that holds us back from taking the goals. I'm super curious. I'll do everything. I've probably got ADHD, which is probably why. But I've got yeah, right. So I can do like loads of cool things like drums, guitar, piano, and then everything has stopped. Like I can just stop. Um, but I'm just super curious, and I have this big belief of that. There's no failure, there's only feedback. So even if I'd have gone for TED and it would have been a massive failure, it would have just been feedback. It's not a
yeah.
failure. It was just an outcome that didn't go the way I wanted to do. And I'd learn from it and go, great. Okay, well, that didn't go the way I wanted to do. Maybe I'd have to do something different.
And
So, yeah.
yeah, absolutely. That brilliant. And because the other part of that is the discomfort versus comfort. And I think I listened to one of your podcasts because yes, I do my research, Ricky. And I think it was you talked about, or you might have been quoting somebody as well about living life as a template is
Mm,
also a form of discomfort. And so
yeah.
in a way, I find that fascinating, the comfort zone and discomfort zone thing, because you automatically assume, because society has kind of told us this in a way,
Yeah.
comfort zone is one thing and discomfort zone is another. Actually, looking at it like this, doing that. So for me, in a way,
Mm,
doing the acting
yeah.
was my comfort zone. And
Yeah.
although I kept pushing it, by doing one woman plays and writing my own stuff and all the rest of it, it was still I knew that was cool. I could get up and
Mm.
do that. And so that kind of, even although you might think you're doing, I can't even put it into words actually, but you put it into words.
So you're talking about the comfort zone.
Right, comfort zone and the miss sort of magical, I was going to say, the magical thing of looking at your doing what you think is comfortable as actually uncomfortable.
So, okay. So put your hands out like this for me. So fingers together, thumbs on top. Okay. Now, just on this note, is your right thumb over the left or is your left thumb over the right?
Left over the right.
Ah, right. Okay. So interestingly, right people, so people who have their right thumb over the top are known to be very intelligent and creative. People who have their left thumb over the right are known to be incredibly attractive. Yeah, there you go. Maybe true, who knows? But anyway, Tricia, so now whatever thumb is on top, you're going to switch. Okay. So, and then
Yeah.
switch all of your fingers as well. Okay, go. Okay. Yeah. So interlock them in a different way, put your thumb on top. How does that feel?
Awkward.
Ugh, it's awful, isn't it? Right. This is exactly the same thing as the comfort zone, right? It's just uncomfortable, or as we like to say, it's unfamiliar. That's all it is. It's unfamiliar.
Unfamiliar.
Yeah, it's just new to you. But as we know, right? We know that the cliche is that that's where the magic happens when you start to be uncomfortable. So
Yeah.
be curious to be uncomfortable. Where do these beliefs come from of like, oh, oh, this feels really uncomfortable. I can't do this. Well, actually, just bear with it because the uncomfortable then will soon become familiar. So yeah, it's just trying something new. And we know that if you're not growing, as they say, you're dying, right? So try something unfamiliar, be curious and see where it goes.
Oh, I don't think we can. We can't. Well, we could. We definitely could go on and on and
Yeah.
on. I mean, yeah, you mentioned that you're a John Campbell Success Principles trainer. The CBT. There we go. Look at that. You've
Jack
got a
Canfield, yeah.
podcast, which is actually brilliant. I just started listening to a couple of episodes, a bit late to the table there. CBT, you have an NLP, and you name it, really.
Yeah, thank you.
But fundamentally, you are still obviously remaining curious.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think the day that if I stop being curious will probably be a bad day for the family, for me and myself. I think it's just something that's ingrained into me, probably from my mum and dad. My dad was always very talented at a lot of things, very curious, and I've always asked why. I remember being told off as a kid,
Yeah.
it just is, Ricky. All right, just stop asking questions. Why is that like that? I remember when I watched Reading 2004 festival, Reading Festival. I was a drummer on stage. I went, that's really cool. I wonder what it's like to play the drums. Wow, you just go into it.
Well,
But I do, yeah.
I love that. We were watching a documentary about Led Zeppelin last night, and the stories behind each of those lads, how it started, absolute classic. Just like you said,
Yeah.
really. Oh, I'm looking at that. Oh, I wonder if I could do that. And they ended up as bloody Led Zeppelin, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
So let that be a lesson to you, listeners.
Well, I
Honestly,
think, Trisha, just on that note,
yeah.
sorry to cut in.
No,
Yeah,
it's all right.
it's not to like paraphrase my talk, but in the part I talk about with a magic trick, when you experience magic tricks as from a magician, nobody knows how a trick is going to unfold, right? But you always trust there's something special because it's just ingrained into us. Like magician makes your phone disappear. You go, where's it gone? Oh my god, I bet it's in that. Oh my god, it's gonna be in that bag, isn't it? That's on the stage. That's always been there from the start. Oh my god! But actually, the truth is that nobody knows how life will unfold. So why do we believe and get anxious about the future when we don't know how life is going to be? No one knows how life will unfold. So actually, like you said, lean into the unknown because extraordinary things can happen. It's not written yet. So let's just lean into possibility.
Especially in this slightly crazy world that we're living.
Yeah, 100%.
Seems like a good option to expect the unexpected and just kind of lean into all of that. Yeah, but yes. Oh God, don't start another topic, Trisha. Right. Okay. Only one solution. You'll have to come back and we'll have to have a part 2, I think, because there is just a huge amount more to unwrap. Let alone you could tell me about some magic tricks.
Sure, yeah.
Things like that. So yeah, thanks so much, Ricky. And I will put all of these various your podcast, your LinkedIn, your where do you like people to?
So I'm mainly on LinkedIn and Instagram at Ricky Locke Magic or Ricky Locke on LinkedIn, or you can contact me on my website, rickylocke.com.
Excellent. And of course, I will put the link to your TEDx talk. Yes, brilliant. Thank you so much. And stay curious and unsquashed.
Incurably curious, I have a fabulous monthly newsletter where I share the fruits of my curiosity, which can be incredibly random. And I'd like you to sign up to it. It's called Just Wondering. And if you head over to trishalewis.com, you will not only find the sign up for that, it's all free and you can unsubscribe and it's not salesy. There's loads of rabbit holes if you like that kind of thing. And you can also then check out more on the whole unsquashing mission that I'm on, whether it be one-to-one coaching, whether it just be making use of the resources that I share with you over there, trishalewis.com. Meanwhile, stay curious and unsquashed.
And the questions never change.